Hi and welcome to another video by Are You Arty Kids. Today we are looking at Surrealism, which if you have never looked at this before basically means hyper real or beyond reality. So what does that mean? Well, basically what that means is taking things from the real world and doing something very, very strange with them. So the Surrealists use dreams, nightmares, all of their unconscious, subconscious thoughts in a lot of their artwork. And they were big fans of collage. So collage, basically cut and stick. So collage uses things like magazines, newspapers, any 2D material, wallpaper, any papers. And we cut things out, which are found objects, and we create a new piece of artwork. So using something like this, a magazine, we're going to create some surreal collage today. Using things from the real world, so people, objects, real context, but putting them in different situations, different settings to take them into beyond reality. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do an individual person, a figure, a monster, a creation. And the key thing about this is obviously just getting any old magazine or catalogue, flicking through, and then finding some sort of base for your figure. Now, this doesn't have to be a figure. This could be an object. So you could find an object, that might be a body or a torso, something like this. And then thinking about head, arms, legs, facial features, but thinking about them in the context of different things. So what I've done is I've flipped through a few magazines and I've picked out a person who looks like they're running. Key thing of success criteria when you start to do this is either you're using a pair of scissors or something like a craft knife. And the key thing is when you're cutting out what you're going to use is making sure, because even though it is surreal, you still want that element of reality to it. So the skill and the craft is really, really important. So you can see on this, I've cut really nicely with a pair of scissors all the way around, removing everything from the background of the page it came from. Whereas in something like this, if I wanted to use this bottle, yeah, I've got all the background here. Now, if I just stuck that on my collage, instantly, it just loses that illusion. Yeah, so I just want this. So I'm going to have to make sure that I cut all of this out really carefully and take all of the background away. That's absolutely vital. And that would be the same if you were using any image with text. So if I was using this big figure here, I would have to make sure all this comes out. If I wanted her, I would have to cut around really carefully, make sure I take that out and lose everything from the background. Little tip with doing this type of fine work is actually, instead of cutting right on the line between the background and what you want to take out, is actually go into the figure a little bit closer, and then you're guaranteed you're not going to keep any background. Thing with things like this, flyaway hair, anything with fine details, you're just going to have to make a decision and probably reshape that and lose that fine detail. Probably too complicated to take out. So what I've done, got my little figure here. So I'm going to work on just a piece of A4 copy of paper, just as my background to stick everything down. So I've cut my figure out and made it really clean. And I've found a few other items, and a lot of it is getting a selection of items, just take things out and then start to arrange them. So I'm going to replace her head. I quite like this wood burning stove. I'm going to probably place it over there just for now. And what I've done, she had some white on the magazine here. So what I've done is I've carefully cut all that away. So that allows me to layer. So obviously this at the moment is sat on top, so I've got almost like a foreground and a midground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert that vase under her arm, so she could almost be like running and carrying it. So it creates a little bit of depth, a little bit more narrative. Now, because she didn't really have a hand, because something in the magazine was covering it, I've got to cover that. Because if I just left it like this, it's just going to lose that illusion as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to tip that vase under her arm there, and then I've cut out a lemon. So I might give that little lemon just over our hand there. Now, on the head here, if I just zoom in here on the head, it's wood burning stove. Now, I could just put it on like that. That would be okay. If I had moved it across at all, and you can see where her hair sticks out, again, we lose that illusion. So you're going to have to be really careful with what you actually do. Or I could either cut a little slit in here and have that inserted behind if I wanted to create another aspect of 3D to it. So that would be just something like a very, very simple figure. Now, you could put that in a book, that'd be okay, that would be almost like step one, a little surreal figure done. If we wanted to make this a little bit more advanced, we might put some background on to give a sense of being somewhere. So let's just take this off. So what I've got here is, I found a really nice woodland picture, so this could be a cityscape, a moonscape or something like that. And I've got a little chest of drawers, so I'm just thinking, if we think about those key concepts in surrealism, we have dislocation, we have metamorphosis, we have transformation, and we have juxtaposition. So this is putting things where you wouldn't normally expect them, turning things into other things, this is converting things, this is melting things. So we want to try and get all of these key surrealism themes into our artwork. So I've got a woodland scene. You wouldn't normally expect to see a chest of drawers in there. Now I could just place that in there because I've cut it out quite nicely and that would look quite nice. But what I want to do is I want to create that sense of 3D. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the edge of this sort of little foliage here, using the craft knife, obviously keeping my fingers well away, out of the way of the knife blade. And I'm just going to cut along this foliage, just a really nice slit, like that, nice and sharp. And I'm going to insert the chest of drawers just into it. So from being sort of quite flat and sort of almost like you've just plonked it on, if you put slits into things, then all of a sudden, yeah, we create that feeling of integration within the picture. So all of a sudden now the chest of drawers is actually sat in the woodland area. So I'm going to bring my little person back in. Now again, I could just place that on there, but it doesn't look super real. So what would happen if she was sort of, I don't know, maybe behind the chest of drawers maybe? Or let's have a look at this. She could be jumping over the chest of drawers. And it's just a case of just trying to find a pleasing composition, really. So I think she's going to be in front of the chest of drawers, maybe. Maybe her leg could go behind there. So her knee's hidden, so she's just leaping over that chest of drawers. Like that. Okay, so she's leaping over it, sort of falling over it. And then I'm going to get the head, and I might put it back that way. That's how it's facing that way now. So I've got a little bit of hair that I need to sort out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my craft knife, just going to trim that. So let's reposition her. And obviously you'd glue this in place once you've got everything as you want it. There we go. So she's leaping over the chest of drawers. Going to put that background there. And then I'm going to put the vase under her arm. And then I'm going to put the lemon on there. So she's in the woodlands, she's leaping over this chest of drawers, and I've got sort of a background, a midground, and I've got these foreground images. And because I've cut everything away really carefully, you create that sense of realism. So here's another one that my daughter did for me. So Maya cut out this picture from within magazine. We had to cut the bottom off because it had all the advertising. So we've got this sort of really nice sort of bath, and this was from like a melting Maltesers, so it looks a little bit like a hanging lamp. So I'm going to put that in there. But then we found this really nice model. She was sort of looking up part of an advert, so we decided we're going to put this in the bath here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this line of the bath, and I'm going to make a really nice scalpel line across the bath. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to insert the model's head in the bath. So all of a sudden she's this huge head in the bath looking upwards like that. And then we found this, which was like, I don't know what this was actually, just some foliage. So we're going to put that on the top there, almost as if it's like water, like a shower. And then maybe that could go in there, or maybe I think that wants to come in front of it, like that. There we go, just move that down a little bit. So you've got this almost like shower head of Malteser with this foliage. Just zoom in there. It looks like it's pouring flowers down onto her and she's looking up at the bath. So got that really nice composition there. And the final one, which my daughter did again, very busy yesterday, got this really nice living room, lots of pattern, lots of detail, and we've got this lady's head. There we go, and I quite like this little lampshade she found, so I'm not sure what she was planning to do with this, but we could just create this little sort of floaty head. Sat in the background there, and maybe, I don't know, we could give her, she could have this sort of stuff on her hair, maybe on the top. Okay, now you can see there is a bit of an issue here, so if we just zoom in, where the lampshade has been cut out, got all the white from the magazine behind, which I think just looks a bit ragged and we lose the illusion a little bit. So what you'd have to do is maybe scissors or craft knife that out to make them individual little prongs, because otherwise I think it sort of loses that illusion a little bit. But so we've got lots of individual elements. So we've got backgrounds, we've got foreground images. You have to think of your figure and your objects as maybe alternatives. So in a face, you know, you don't have to find eyes. If you were making a face, it could be circular things. You know, what could make the facial features. And that is Surreal Collage. So thank you very much for watching, guys.